welcome back to another episode on Capital Interns. Our podcast aims to help out any students or anyone looking for advice on their career paths or in life. Our guests delve into their internship experiences, their university journey, and their high school experience.
Our guest for this episode is easily the most involved, extroverted engineering student I know, in Canada even. He goes to Ryerson University for industrial engineering. He's a residence advisor, orientation leader, and was a first-year engineering ambassador lead, and was the industrial engineering representative on the first-year committee. He is currently sitting as president of the Institute of Industrial and Systems Engineers Student Chapter. Currently, he is interning as a workforce management analyst at Walmart. We're so humbled to have him, and we're so excited as well. And he's one of my great friends from high school, Nick Neuman. Hey Nick, how's it going today?
Hey, I'm doing super great. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm hoping that the answers to my questions can sort of help as many people as possible.
Thank you for being on the podcast, Nick. We're looking forward to getting to know your journey with the audience tonight. On today's episode, we will be discussing Nick's journey at Ryerson University, what a workforce management analyst is like, and his multiple extracurriculars as well as his goals.
So I'm really excited about learning a little bit more about your role as a workforce management analyst for Walmart Canada. Can you explain what that role entails?
Yeah, so it's not a very common role, and I do have to explain it to almost everybody I say that I have this job to. But in the simplest way possible, what I do is I look at how long jobs take at Walmart. So for example, how long does it take to stock the shelves? It takes a certain amount of time. And that's depending on the store characteristics, that's depending on the region of the store. It's based on a lot of things. So what I do is I look at how long all these tasks take, and I come up with an estimation or a forecast of how many hours each store in Canada is going to need for the week for every single part of the store. Then from there, we basically reach out to the stores and get them to schedule associates that line up with our hours. So what ends up happening is the associates get scheduled to follow our forecasts, and then we also manage if they are under what we're saying or if they're over what we're saying.
That is so cool. I would have never thought.
But time is money. Time is
literally
money, though. Like every hour is so crucial.
Yeah.
Especially with a huge retail like Walmart. I think it's the largest retailer. If you exclude Amazon because they're more of an online business, Walmart is the largest retailer in the world, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so we are, I believe Amazon might have taken first place really recently, but for the past couple of years, Walmart has been one of the top retailers in the world. And so having huge productivity standards and really focusing on efficiency, I feel brings Walmart out as one of those top retailers. And it kind of also feeds back into the customer in the sense that by Walmart working smarter, we're able to serve the customers more effectively, but also our biggest motto is everyday low price. So we can cut down the prices on every single item due to the high efficiency that we're able to utilize.
What is it like working for Walmart?
So I've been at Walmart for 3 months, and I've honestly had such an unforgettable experience. And I'm really grateful in the first place to have it. A lot of my friends for COVID, they lost their internships. So I'm lucky that I still have this internship during these tough times. But yeah, as well, I'm able to give back to everybody who is shopping at Walmart. And so yeah, it's been really great. I've learned a ton as well. To put it very bluntly, I've learned so much in these 3 months, and I can't even picture all the things I'm going to learn and change at Walmart that are going to happen in 16 months.
You're right.
So I'm really excited.
What are some of the things so far that you've learned? Because you're right, it has been only 3 months.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of things I've learned. I think one of the biggest takeaways I've learned is that a lot of times in engineering, we focus on numbers. Numbers, it's math, it's science. Numbers are related to everything. And a lot of times we get so obsessed with numbers and we build such a trust in numbers. But I think the biggest takeaway is that you actually can't always trust the numbers, but you also have to trust the people. So from a Walmart perspective, I am providing an estimation of hours for every single store. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions, and obviously there's going to be variables that I miss. And the people component comes when I'm talking with store managers and getting their input on it. I'm able to see how my work affects them directly. I'm talking with them. I'm getting their feedback. And in general, I'm seeing how the decisions I make are directly affecting everything they do. So if I were to only trust the numbers, I would probably make a bunch of mistakes. I mean, the numbers are they're good to a certain point, but at that certain point, you need to actually talk to the people involved in the work you're doing and saying, does this work for you? Are we doing the right thing to help your store, right? So I think that's one of the biggest things is that in the real world, there's a huge people component when you talk about analytics and even engineering. And so I would definitely say that for anybody working, although numbers are great, although numbers are super great to reference, I think you also have to consider the human element of it and the effect that your work has on real people.
Yeah, that's honestly so true. Even for software, I personally relate to it so much. I find it personally when I was working on my first internship at InnovaPost, I realized that the one thing that drives products mostly isn't the type of tool you use. It's the people that you're working with and solving the problems, is the requirements that the PM is gathering to, make a roadmap for the team. So I really do resonate with that. Do you find that your university journey has prepared you well for this role?
I'm mixed about it, and I'm mixed for a couple of reasons. So I really just want to be honest. I do think university is great. I think the skills you learn in university are great, but I also think that at a certain point, university gets too theoretical, and the real workforce isn't all about theory. It's about application. So I think the biggest thing that I've sort of learned from university has more so been time management, working with teams, learning how to communicate really complex ideas. While the more application side of it, that's what I'm getting from the internship. I'm getting, well, how do all these theories actually change the world? It's one thing to say, I'm going to do a ton of research and change the world in every single way, but if you can't prove how it's going to change the world, it's useless, right? You could blabber all you want about the theory of how you're going to do it, but until it's actually being done, you don't actually know if it's going to work, right? So I think university is fantastic at explaining all the theory of it and explaining the potential of what you could do, but you're only going to really see the impact that you have when you're actually in the field.
That's a really good point. But what are some skills that you've learned about through school that has helped you in your internship?
So yeah, I think the biggest one would be working in teams. Every single project you're going to do, you're going to have to work in a team. I know a lot of very independent workers who are great at working independently, but at some point, they're going to need to communicate their ideas to someone else. So definitely a huge skill that people need. It's very general, but you do need very good communication skills. And as a general, I don't think engineers have really good engineering communication skills. I think engineers are very, very analytical, but a lot of times they can't even explain what they're working on, right? So yeah, one of the biggest skills that university has taught me is that, yeah, you need communication skills in order to do all of this. So yeah, that is definitely a focus point of mine, is how do I communicate this in the best way possible?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing I've personally had struggle with, and I learned within my first 2 months on my first internship, and I don't know if it's the same for you, Dorina, but trying to explain a technical concept to non-technical people, because I realized how much harder it is than what I originally thought, because I always thought whenever I learn in school, I usually throw around with my friends, right? Object-oriented programming and all that. I just throw out these terms, and I know that I think it's general knowledge, right? But then when you talk to like someone from sales, or you talk to someone who's especially in enterprise, where I had to talk to other consultants from different departments, they didn't have any idea what I was talking about. So then I really had to learn how to articulate myself in that regard. And also, I'm just wondering, Nick, more so about Walmart. What's the biggest misconception you've heard from people about the corporate industry now that you're working in it?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people have fears about the corporate industry. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that we're only in it for the money. We're only in it to take everybody's money and then we're just going to become rich. I could truly say that Walmart spends a lot of money to take care of their associates. They try to make sure their associates have a lot of resources in order to be good people, even outside of their jobs. But also they invest back into themselves in order to be better and, like I mentioned, to save the customers money. At the end of the day, if we can provide customers really good products at a very affordable price, that's the mission. We want to make sure people can afford going to Walmart, and the only way we do that is by continuously investing in ourselves, in investing in efficiency, in investing in productivity, and really looking into all these things and figuring out how does it go right back into the customer? How do we save money for the customer?
Definitely. And how competitive is it in the industry you are currently working in? And what are the job prospects, and how do they look like right now, especially with COVID?
Yeah, so I think COVID has definitely brought jobs down. I can't deny that. As I've mentioned, I've had a couple of friends who have lost their engineering internships. Companies are going through really, really tough times. So jobs are a little tough right now. But in terms of getting an internship or a co-op, I do think that most students can do it. They just need to find the best way of selling themselves. You need to make your resume cater to every single job you can. I know a ton of people tell you that, but you really have to say, how are you different than every single other person applying? What's going to make you stand out? What kind of personality do you have? Do you strive yourself on being able to communicate? Maybe you're not so good at communicating, but you have super, super good like organizational skills and time management skills. Totally sell it. Everybody has something that they can sell about yourself, and finding that niche and presenting it to the employers really, really helps them see who you are compared to just a student. At the end of the day, everybody's going to graduate with the same degree, right? So on paper, everybody's going to have that same expensive piece of paper. But what's going to make you different and going to make it easier for you to get jobs in the future, or like as if you're a student, an internship, will be all those experiences, all those ways that you are different than everybody else applying. Always ask yourself, why are you the best? And it kind of sucks, but if you can't answer why you're the best, then you're not the best.
Those are some really good tips, especially about tailoring your resume for the job. That's a really good point.
Nick, how long did you tailor your resume for when you applied to Walmart?
How long did I tailor it?
Yeah.
I mean, I tailored it as like to the dot. Every single thing that they wanted, I made sure that I had a really good connection to the previous work I'd done. And I know a lot of people have struggles with that because they say, oh, well, like I've never had an internship. I've never had a co-op. How do I explain what I've done? Really, any sort of extracurricular can be connected when you think about it. Again, you just have to sell yourself and make that connection. As you've mentioned, I worked in the past for the first year engineering office. Now, that doesn't directly have any technical engineering skills, but I definitely did like some sort of data manipulation in that. I sold that whole data manipulation idea to Walmart because it is relevant to what they wanted. Even though it wasn't hardcore technical data manipulation, I made the connection and ensured that it was relevant experience to what they wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really interesting tactic. I also I think me and Dorina were talking about this. I'm currently applying for internships for next summer, and then Dorina's applying for new grad jobs. I was mentioning to Dorina like how I do things, and like the way I do it is I look at the job description and I don't copy paste, but I basically write notes of, because like the employer gives you the job description, so you just need to write notes of like the experiences you have that relate to each point. And the thing is that a lot of these employers use an ATS, which is like a resume screener. They put your resume in the machine and it screens it, and then they give you the interview. So the best way to do it is trying to use those keywords, like for example, analyzed or designed or modeled, like these types of keywords inside your resume, so that way it'll be parsed and you can get to the next round.
Yeah, same as well. Like relate your experiences to what you see on the job description, because that's where all the answers are. That's what I've come to realize. Going back to your degree program at Ryerson, you're in industrial engineering. Can you explain a bit about what the program is?
Yeah, so it's a quite specialized type of engineering, and it's not really offered in a lot of schools within Canada. There's some schools in Toronto, there's Windsor, there's Montreal, there's Halifax, but there's only a couple of schools that are actually offering industrial engineering. So to put it in the best way possible, industrial engineers just find ways to be more efficient and find ways for companies to utilize what they have in a better way. And that sounds super, super vague, but we learn a lot of unique skills and methodologies in order to accomplish this.
What convinced you to join this program?
So industrial engineering is very, very people-focused.
Yeah.
Out of all the engineering programs, industrial engineers definitely deal the most with people.
I think so too,
And
yeah.
I'm naturally extroverted. I naturally love seeing how I can impact people, kind of like I was just talking about with Walmart. I wanted to try it out. I wanted to see what it involved. And so I think what it gravitated me towards it was that I wasn't getting a generic business diploma where it would be super, super hard to stand out and I would learn really, really vague skills. But instead, I would learn very specific engineering skills, as well as having the generic engineering knowledge that would apply to like most engineering jobs. I had the specific industrial engineering skills to kind of make me a little niche. But then I also got the people aspect of it. I got a little bit of the business side of it, and I got to see how these technical skills affect the people. It all connects to the people. And so when you're graduating and you can say that your modifications to a system or your improvements are going to affect the people, and you can actually help the people go through those changes, I think it's a very, very big selling point compared to coming out of school with a generic engineering degree. Like, I don't want to call it out, but like, I feel like mechanical is a very generic engineering degree. And everybody who graduates mechanical has very, very similar skills, right? So I do feel like that's a little more competitive. While if you have the technical side and the people side, you bring something different to a company. You bring a different perspective.
You have best of both worlds, basically.
Yeah, that's what I would like to say.
Like you mentioned, industrial engineering definitely has that more focus on the social aspect. How was first year like for you?
I feel like it's a general consensus. I found first year to be quite difficult. And although the courses and the content weren't the hardest part, it's the whole transition. When you get into university, you have to change your studying habits. You have to change your time management habits. For me, I was moving away from home. I had to change the people I was hanging out with. So when you compile all these things that you have to change, and you have a new atmosphere, and then you have to take all these courses, you really get overwhelmed in your first year. And I feel like most people get overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'd like to think it's a process, right? First year, I didn't get the best grades. I'm going to be honest. I passed my classes. I had a little saying in first year, 5-0 and go. So essentially, get the 50, pass, move on, keep going.
Cool.
But the bigger thing I learned was the time management, was the meeting new people, which is, I feel like most people underestimate that. But like this last semester, I got on Dean's List, and the only reason why I did that is because of my like incredible time management now. I wouldn't have developed that time management if I didn't suffer in first year and didn't go through the pain. As bad as it sounds, you kind of have to go through that rough patch in order to reach the light at the end of the tunnel. It is a rough transition a lot of times, but the biggest thing I could say is like use the resources around you. University does provide resources so that people can transition very, very well. But a lot of times people don't use them because they're too scared or they don't want to. And then the transition isn't as good for them. So I would definitely utilize like your university's resources in order to ease that transition.
For sure. And what kind of courses did you take in first year?
So first semester, I took very like general courses. I did a physics, I did a chemistry, I did a calculus, linear algebra. I had an introduction to engineering class, and then I had an engineering economics class. So these are classes that everybody takes in their first year. And then once I got to second semester, I took another calculus and another physics. I took like a programming course. And then I took 2 courses that were specific to mechanical engineering. So as a general, first year is really, really broad. The idea is to help students find out which discipline of engineering they want to go into. And then as they move on, they kind of specialize.
Did you find that even with your general courses, you were already set on industrial?
I've been set on industrial since day one. So the biggest thing I did in grade 12 is I did a ton of research. I looked into a ton of programs. And when I stumbled upon industrial engineering, I did a lot of research on industrial engineering. I looked at jobs. I looked at salary, which I feel like a lot of people do look at. But more importantly, I looked at how many people actually enjoy doing it. Fun fact about industrial engineering is we're actually the happiest engineers.
Really?
Whoa.
If you compare engineering disciplines, industrial engineers are actually the happiest engineers.
Wait, then what's your like third year engineering courses? Like what does that focus on?
Yeah, so the first 2 years, at least at Ryerson, are mechanical engineering courses. Unfortunately, you don't do any industrial engineering courses until third year. There's a couple of reasons that they do that, but in general, they want you to get a general engineering knowledge, which I think was good. But that's really it. It's a general engineering knowledge so you can also do non-industrial engineering jobs. So then in third year, you start actually doing industrial engineering courses. So I took 6 courses per semester in industrial engineering in third year.
Gosh.
That is a lot.
And then
In Edge, that's a lot.
yeah. On top of all the commitments and everything, I was super, super packed, but I truly loved third year. It opened my eyes to the possibilities, but it also gave me all those like super technical and analytical skills to help me get to where I am now.
Yeah, for sure. I have a question about when you mentioned researching the different programs back in high school. What did you use? What are some tools that you used to do your research?
So, one of the
Career
first...
cruising. I'm kidding.
Yo, that was a popular one back then.
There definitely was some kind of version of career cruising. I don't know if that's what it was called, but it was like, look at all these jobs you could do after high school. A lot of them were really, really wacky things that I didn't even consider. But the way I approached it is I looked at the courses that I liked in high school and I said, what does this lean towards? So I think one of my general favorite courses in high school was math. I really liked math. I liked problem solving. I liked all of that. So right away I said, okay, I want to go into business. Business is a lot of math, yada, yada, yada. I like math. I just kept saying, I like math. I like math. And so I did my research, and I found that business degrees to me were very vague. Very, very broad, lots of people in the program, everybody's graduating with the same degree. It didn't look like it would fit me because I really do want to be someone who has that niche thing. And I didn't feel like I would have been able to get that with a business degree. So I landed on a specialized business degree called supply chain management. And this one sparked my interest a little. So there's a couple degrees in Canada where it's a business degree, but you specialize in supply chain management. And it's only a couple, so again, it's a little more specialized. So the biggest thing with supply chain management is looking at businesses, looking at systems, and figuring out how to save money. It sparked me. I thought it was interesting. So initially, in grade 12, I said, okay, that's what I'm doing. It sparks my interest. I'm like, done deal. Not going to look anymore. And then my oldest brother, his name is Alex, he's a civil engineer. And he said, I know someone who is a thing called an industrial engineer. And it sounds like supply chain management, but a little better because you're an engineer. And so with that, I started my journey of researching what industrial engineering is. One of the biggest things that I found helped me was speaking to students at the university before I actually went. So maybe I was a little creepy, but I would message industrial engineering students that I met during campus tours. So they would give a tour, and then at the end, I would say, could I get your Facebook to ask you more questions? And then after the tour, I kind of asked them the more nitty gritty questions that they couldn't answer on a campus tour. So I used that. I used my brother's advice, and I found that industrial engineering was what I wanted. It gave me that technical side and the very specific skills that would make me different than a regular engineer, but still gave me that business and people side that I was kind of looking for when I was originally thinking that I was just interested in math. So I kind of thought about it, and I said, okay, I'm going to suffer for 2 years. That's the reality. But in third year, you're going to like it. These courses seem very interesting. From what these other students are saying, it sounds interesting. And so I went for it. I said, I think I'm really going to thrive in this. And it was just one of those gut feelings too. I just knew. Once I did all this research and I validated all these things with all these other students, I just knew, and I had a gut feeling this is what I had to do.
Those are really good tips on how to figure out what you want to do, especially about asking questions to students who are in the program. That's a really good tip. I wish I had used that back in high school. But again, I love my program, so I got lucky.
Yeah, people do get lucky with our program. Some people end up on the other boat and start switching, which is normal. It's completely normal. But I'm glad that you found the program that you worked hard for to research, and
Absolutely.
You're enjoying every second of it. So speaking of which, we're going to be talking about your experience with frosh, and I know that when I looked at your Instagram, you had a really fun time in first year with frosh. How was your experience with frosh overall? Just as a leader and also as a participant.
Right. So I went all out as a student in frosh. I'm in a new city. I'm with new people. I'm I need to assert myself as the crazy guy because people are going to like me like that. I wanted to be that person who people just said, yeah, I want to be friends with that guy. And it actually worked. I was ridiculous during frosh. I did every single event. I went full on purple. I did every single thing I could as a first year student to just have the most fun at frosh. And yeah, I really ended up meeting some of my best friends. I think frosh is such an incredible thing because you don't only meet other first year students in your program, but you also meet all these upper year leaders who are able to help you during that transition. One of the resources I used in that transition was just constantly talking to my frosh leaders. I said, I'm not really liking calculus. How did you do in first year? And just hearing their personal opinions about first year really helped me transition as well. So it's not only about the actual frosh week. I think it's about building that initial set of friends as well, and knowing that you're part of a community.
Yeah, I really relate to that.
Yeah, for sure. Engineering is, I mean, yes, it is like having a cult, but again, it's that sense of community, of everyone being in the same boat. Kind of like what Kate was explaining in the past episode. What are some of the activities that you guys do during frosh in first year?
So we have a ton of things. We have like tours of Toronto. We have charity events. We have the annual purpling event. I feel like it happens at every single school.
Absolutely.
But we dye ourselves purple. We're chanting. We're being super culty. Something that Ryerson Engineering does is we have these really nice stickers. They're diamonds and they say Ry-Eng. And on one of the days, we get a lot of these stickers, like really like a lot of these stickers. And we run around the city and put our stickers all over the city. It's really such a fun thing. And yeah, that's definitely one of the best days of frosh is being purple, putting these random stickers around the city, just having a good time. But there's also like some more chillax things. I know a lot of people get kind of scared of frosh, like, oh, it's going to be really overwhelming. It is, like, I'm not going to lie. It is supposed to be very overwhelming. But there's also some more like chillax events, like game nights, trivia, just to kind of cater to everybody and to give people a break from the high intensity. But yeah, no, the whole week is super like fun. I super recommend frosh in general. And yeah, even as a leader, I get so much satisfaction from seeing these students thrive, like during this week and even after the week.
Like you guys mentioned, you were a first year orientation leader for frosh. What did you like about that role compared to when you were a frosh?
So when you're organizing things for orientation week, it's super fun because you have a huge impact on every single person who's going to come to that school for engineering. So in this previous year, we had 1,400 students coming at Ryerson for engineering. So that's a ton of incoming students.
Oh my God.
And to be honest, that could be really stressful for a lot of those students, right? There's totally like international students who come from across the world. Even there's local students who are just like, they're scared of the change. So it's one of those things where when you're organizing it compared to actually being a part of it, you get a satisfaction from seeing everybody having fun.
What were some of your memorable moments as an orientation leader?
I think the biggest thing I get is I see a student at one of the first days, really shy. It seems like they just like don't know a lot of people. I can tell they're scared, they're nervous, whatever it is. And then by the end of the week, I see them talking to everybody. I'm seeing them smiling. I'm seeing them jumping around. I'm seeing them genuinely feeling better about attending university. University can be scary for a lot of people, but I think as soon as you can embrace it and realize how much fun it's actually going to be, you kind of take in that like this is going to be a great like gap in my life essentially.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I remember when I first went to uni, I was so overwhelmed with frosh. It was crazy because it's meant to be crazy. You know, super nervous, super shy, being like, oh my God, I don't know anyone. And by the end of it, you know, I had made friends in my classes. I was hanging out with friends after classes. So yeah, it's definitely an adjustment, but I think it is worth it. You were also involved in avenues to help out first-year students and to promote the university, you know, from being an orientation leader to being first-year rep of industrial engineering and first-year engineering ambassador, as well as a street team member. Why did you decide to volunteer for all those positions?
I really just get so much satisfaction from getting involved for like a multitude of reasons. I guess one of the biggest thing is when I can help first years transition, it really just gives me so much joy. I had a pretty good transition, but obviously that was based on all the leaders I had, all the mentors I had. So being on the flip side of it and being able to provide that incredible transition, it does really, really give me satisfaction. So that's one part of it. I genuinely do get satisfaction from just seeing people grow and have a good time. Obviously, another part of it is just building my own skills, whether it be generic communication skills or like bigger skills such as project management, event planning, communicating complex ideas.
Yo, my frosh is shit.
No. But yeah, so another part of it is building those skills. There's really you can learn anything from any extracurricular you get involved with. Third thing I would say is the people. Most of my friends are people I've met based on working with them or being involved in an extracurricular with them. You gain a really, really large network when you become an extracurriculars, and it does make the experience more memorable when you know more people. These people can help you in classes. These people can be group mates, teammates. Just by knowing more people leads you to more opportunities. I guess the fourth reason, I don't like to think about it like this, but at the end of the day, these things do look good on your resume, right? I think one of the biggest mistakes someone could do is going into a job or extracurricular, like with the only exception being that, oh, I'm just doing it for the resume. I just want to look good on paper. You should look good in person. You don't want to be that person who on paper looks incredible, and when it comes to talking about your experience, you really can't talk about it, or maybe you didn't actually fully get involved and you can't fully explain it because you weren't actually there. It is one of those things. Yeah, it looks great on the resume. I can't deny that. But that shouldn't be the only reason why you should do extracurriculars. I really do think the first three things are really good reasons why you should join extracurriculars and work.
That is so true, because I remember, I think, was it the last episode or the episode before that?
It was Lucy.
It was Lucy's episode where I mentioned that if you talk passionately about your resume of the things that you've done, and if you'll be able to write better points because you're passionate about that stuff, right? And when you get to the interview, you'll be so passionate that you worked or volunteered or did this project that the recruiter or the hiring manager is going to get that. It's going to be contagious for them, and they're going to be wanting to hire you because of your enthusiasm. Whereas if you're that person who's all preppy and oh yeah, I did all this stuff and everything, I'm super qualified and everything, no one's going to want you, because no one wants a person who's in it just for the money. People want to be in it to be part of the team and, provide such a positive glow for the entire team as well. So yeah.
Oh yeah. People want passion, dedication, hard work.
For sure. And also about these positions, Nick, how did you even hear about them in the first place?
It's really through a lot of things. There's a ton of ways that you can find out about jobs and extracurriculars. I think the best thing you can do is check your email many times.
Check your email.
All the time. It sounds crazy, but engineering societies or student societies, they will email you all the time with opportunities. You just really all the time I get opportunities in my email. And they'll give you the application right in the email. They're feeding you the job application. You just need to take it, right? So that's definitely the easiest way of doing it. Another way you can do it is through your professors. A lot of times your professors will talk about opportunities. Doesn't even have to relate to them, but they'll maybe market it just based on someone providing them the information. We have this thing called D2L. It's basically like a course shell where you have all your courses. And you sort of get announcements on your courses. A lot of times on these announcements, they'll tell you about opportunities as well. And then I guess the last thing would be talk to people. It sounds crazy, but when you talk to people, they're going to tell you opportunities. And it kind of goes back to the whole networking thing. When you know a lot of people, you're also exposed to a lot more opportunities.
Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of networking, this question is for both of you. What are some of the tips that you guys have in terms of figuring out how to network with potential employees?
Be you. Don't be someone who's fake. Don't be someone who's trying too hard. Be someone who's genuinely passionate about the certain fields that you're in. Be someone who knows what they're good at. I know I'm super good at being extroverted, hyping people up, working as a team. I know what I'm good at, and I can explain what I'm good at super, super well. I would say being genuine, it helps so much. I really can't iterate this enough. People can tell when you're fake. People can tell when you're lying. And it really turns people off when they see that someone isn't being truthful and honest with them. When you're going in an interview and you don't know a question, you can pause and say, sorry, I just don't know it yet. Can you give me a couple seconds? That's way better than lying about an answer and making up some sort of story that you don't know. Yeah, in terms of networking, I really think that when you're genuine with people, people are going to be genuine with you back. And that's just the basis of building honesty. When you're honest with everybody, everybody's honest with you. And yeah, that's the way how you meet people.
I agree with Nick on that. I remember when I was first networking, it was the first person I've ever networked with, right? It was the worst experience I've ever had. I remember it was this company that that has these race cars, and they had cameras and everything. And what happened was that I went up to him and I'm like, oh, what do you guys do and everything and all that? And then they tell me, and then I'm not interested in it. But the thing is, instead of backing out, I tried to still network with them. So I tried to be oh yeah, what kind of software stuff you guys do and everything. They're like, we just do electrical. And then afterwards, I want to back out. I really wanted to back out at that point. But my dumb ass was that's a nice car.
What? What does the car have to do with anything?
Worst experience ever. And yeah, and the guy's yep.
Oh
it is a nice car. Yeah, it was trash. But then the next guy that I talked to, because I knew how trash it was, I made sure I actually looked at I pulled out my phone and I quickly looked at the company, and I'm like, okay, this is something maybe I have a chance at. So I started networking with them and I talked to him, but instead of being oh yeah, about stuff that I want to know, I asked him stuff about him. So I asked him what are you passionate about? What are some of the things that that makes you want to work on this every day? And I even asked them even a basic question about what's company culture like. What do you do on your breaks? Stuff about him. And that made the conversation so much more fluid instead of me trying to be someone else, right? And in the end, I got his contact, and he's been so helpful for sponsoring even our other events too. So networking does help. Even if it might not give you a job, you do make connections, and those connections can bring their connections from other industries as well. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Just be genuine and get to know the person. And the whole point of networking is that you meet people and you get to know more about them. It's not about going up to someone and working just because you want a job. That's not how it works.
So what were some of the challenges you came across with, Nick, in these roles?
I think being involved does come with a bunch of challenges. In my experience, I think the times that these roles weren't as enjoyable were when people weren't able to communicate properly. And it really goes back to the idea that you need to be an amazing communicator in the real world. So when you're working on a event with someone and you're trying to plan an event, and you can't get on the same page for what the event needs to have, what it needs to cost, the logistics behind it, there is absolutely no way that event is going to be made. You're going to have different ideas. You're going to be on completely different pages. And even if you try to push with that logic, it's going to be an awful event because nothing's going to be together. So I feel in these experiences, I've learned about how to become a better communicator, but I've also seen how the lack of other people's communication, and to be frank, sometimes probably my own, leads to issues and leads to less teamwork being possible. So I think one of the biggest challenges with these groups is making sure that everybody is on the same page, everybody's voice is getting heard. but also that everybody has the chance to properly communicate in the way that they want to communicate.
I'm sure also as a better listener as well, right? From being on working with people.
Listening is very, very underrated.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people like to spew, myself included. Like, as an extrovert, I can go on rants forever. But active listening is honestly a really good skill as well. It shows that you're engaged in the conversation without directly providing your opinion.
Yeah, 100% agreed. What events did you organize as a first-year engineering ambassador?
So I worked for the school's first-year engineering office. My title was I was the first-year ambassador lead. So essentially, I was looking over a team of 19 upper-year ambassadors. And our goal was to ease the transition of first years. So this included a couple things. This included pre-orientation events, which are essentially events that happen in the summer prior to coming to school. But also we organized events during the semester so that once students kind of got into the flow, we were still supporting them in that sense. So we had a variety of events. We had webinars, we had campus tours, we had academic orientation, which is the big day where all the students come to Ryerson for the first time. We had fun social events. We had really anything you can think about. We wanted to make sure that the students were academically transitioned. We wanted to make sure they were socially transitioned.
That's important.
From both aspects, we really wanted to make sure they were having the best time. So we created 16 pre-orientation events. Now, if you do the math, try to fit in 16 events in the summer, like in a summer.
How? How?
It's a lot of events. So by creating a variety of events, we had huge participation because when you provide more events, there's more opportunities for students to participate, but also we were able to cater to specific student needs. So for example, one event we would have a campus tour. So all the people who are from Toronto can easily see the campus, get our experience, get that side of it. But then you have to think about all those international students who can't come to the campus. How do they get supported in a transition? So for them, we did an online webinar, online tour, provided it all online. The biggest thing was making sure everybody was transitioned. We wanted to fight all the avenues of students who were coming in and get them transitioned.
There is so much, I can already tell that so much work was put into this to make it so easy for first years. That sounds absolutely amazing. What advantages do you find that these positions gave you in terms of academics and your professional life?
I think the skills that I learned with it, I've talked about it over and over again. This specific job, I would say, was my first project management job. I wasn't just the ambassador, I was the ambassador lead. So I didn't only have to look at all the incoming students, I also had to look at how my ambassadors were doing. How were they helping out at events? Are they helping out properly? Are they contributing properly? What more can I provide to them so they can provide a better experience for the first years? It really was, I'd like to say, a project management position. I was managing events, I was managing people. So although I didn't learn a ton of technical skills, these project management skills, I feel like could apply to any internship that I was going to apply for. They definitely helped me get the job at Walmart, but even for any other internship I would have applied for, I could have used any part of those project management skills in the interview, essentially.
You also got involved with IISE. Can you tell us a bit about it and what your role is?
Yeah, so IISE stands for the Institute of Industrial System Engineering. It's essentially a community of industrial engineers from across the world. And so IISE has chapters at every single university across the world. So I was the president of the chapter at Ryerson. So for my third year, which is the year that I just finished, I was in charge of making events, workshops, certifications for all industrial engineers at Ryerson. Really, really, really great experience. On terms of the professional side, IISE provides a certification process. We have two different certificates. So one of the biggest certificates we offer is Lean Six Sigma. It's this big methodology in the industrial engineering world about reducing variability, reducing waste, and it's very, very well known at internships. I can actually tell you that the job description at Walmart asked for Six Sigma methodology. So right away, I had a certification to match exactly what they wanted. So in general, IISE is just like an organization to help students become professionally ready, but also from the Ryerson Chapter aspect, it was about bringing a community of engineers together. And so by creating events, by creating opportunities, it, I would say, enhanced every industrial engineer's experience just because they had opportunities.
Yeah, Nick, what are some of these activities that you guys host at IISE?
So one of the bigger things is the certifications. As I mentioned, the whole Six Sigma and lean methodologies are really, really big in industry. So a lot of students get involved in that. But there's also an annual conference that happens every year where industrial engineering students from all across Canada come to a university, and they have competitions, they have social events, they have networking. It's super huge. So I've attended this conference for the past 3 years, and essentially it's about 400 industrial engineering students from across Canada. These are super, super big conferences. Professionally, super, super fun, but also they're a lot of fun. There's a lot of social events. And actually, little sneak peek, Ryerson is hosting the next IISE conference. It's getting a little delayed because of COVID, but I'm actually going to be one of the co-chairs for the conference in October 2021.
That's awesome.
But anyways, the conference is, aside from the certifications, the biggest thing that we have. It's a really, really fun weekend.
Where are you guys hosting it? I guess it's going to be virtual, right?
So we're hoping by October 2021, we can have some capacity in person. We're still in the works, obviously.
For sure.
But yeah, that's the hope.
Pray for a vaccine.
Oh yeah, for a vaccine, guys. All right, Nick, guess what time it is?
It's fun time.
Yeah, you could say that. It's time for it's time for rapid fire round.
Dorita, who's timing this time?
I'll time it. Do you know how it works? Do we need to explain it? It's a couple of questions.
You're gonna ask me a bunch of questions, and I'm gonna give you quick answers.
Yeah, exactly. 5 seconds.
5 seconds only.
Let's do it.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Okay, all right.
I'm so ready.
First question. If you could go back in time, what would you change in your life?
I would try to be less introverted as a kid. I was a super, super introverted kid.
Would have never thought.
If you could travel to the future, what would you want to see?
The world not dying. I want to really see sustainable things happen.
Oh.
Wow, yeah. Otherwise, there's not going to be a planet, seriously. How many Spotify playlists do you have?
I have 26 specially curated Spotify playlists. I'm a little crazy.
And just for the audience, this is Nick has made 26 different playlists. His playlist. For every mood.
Damn. Okay, this might be hard. Okay. What do you think your spirit animal is?
I'm a raccoon. I'm vicious, but I'm also really, really cute.
How do you
know that
so quickly? What? Did you do a test or something?
Is that a thing?
No. When you think of a raccoon, they're super, super cute on the outside, but they're crazy on the inside.
How did you decide that? Just thought of the raccoon.
We're doing rapid fire. You gotta think of the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yo, good point. Nick teaching us how to play our own game. Next question. What's the worst part about living away from home?
I miss my home friends.
Oh.
I love my Ottawa friends.
Oh, sad.
I miss you too, Nick. I miss you so much. Yo, we got, honestly, if you were here, I'd be yo, we all need to get the boys back together from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Another birthday party next year. We trust. All right. This one I think you'll get pretty quickly. Do you think double dipping is acceptable at a party?
No, especially during COVID times. Come on.
Yeah, that is so true. Next question. What's something you could eat for a week straight?
Pizza. I love pizza. Give me any type of pizza.
Yum.
All right. When you eat cereal, do you put milk in first or the cereal?
No, you have to put the cereal. I despise people who put the milk first.
Oh, man.
I don't want soggy cereal. I need to monitor how much cereal I have relative to the milk.
Yes, it's very important, isn't it? I can definitely agree. It has to be crunchy, not soggy.
Okay. Do you guys want to know a bit of a thing I do? You guys aren't gonna like it.
What?
Are you a half and half kind of guy?
You can't do half and half. It doesn't work.
I don't have milk in my cereal. I just eat it raw.
Oh. Okay, I'm not against it. Sometimes I do that. It depends on the type of cereal. Like, I only take milk with, like, Frosted Flakes. If you give me Lucky Charms, I'm not putting milk in them.
No, I do it with cornflakes.
You put milk in it or you eat it?
I eat cornflakes dry. Yeah, I like it.
That's crazy.
I like it dry.
No,
yeah. No. Nick's face right now is like so like someone disapproval of you.
Weird, but okay.
What's your favorite cereal, Nick?
I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, yum. That is really good. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so thank you for playing. I'm pretty sure you got all 100%. Like, you were just on the go.
He got 100% on that.
I told you I was ready.
Yeah, he was
wow.
ready.
Damn. He aced it. All right. So, back to some more nitty-gritty questions. You were originally from Ottawa and chose Ryerson, located in the heart of Toronto. What made you decide to move away for a university outside of Ottawa?
So, as I kind of mentioned earlier, industrial engineers aren't actually, like the program, it's not actually offered in Ottawa. I actually knew that I had to move if I wanted to do industrial engineering. So that was definitely the first thing that kind of narrowed that, like I wasn't going to stay at home. And then I just sort of looked into the culture of the school. I looked into what kind of experience I wanted. I'm someone who's very social, who's very extroverted, and I'm glad to say that Toronto is also very, very lively. There's a lot of things to do in Toronto, which I think meets my sort of personality. And at the end of the day, I kind of wanted a change. As simple as it sounds. I wanted a change, living away from home from a longer period of time. I wanted to become independent, not kind of relying on my parents. And I wanted to meet new people. I really just wanted a new experience from a bunch of different ends.
What was it like for you to go from, small city Ottawa to metropolitan Toronto?
I loved it. Like, as crazy as it sounds, I loved it. I loved the livelihood of Toronto. I loved, I really liked meeting all these new people in first year. Especially through residence, I got to meet so many people through residence. And it's kind of just like a new chapter in your life. And when all these fun things happen to you at a new chapter in your life, you feel like you're doing something right, You feel like you've made the right choice.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. It's definitely a new chapter in someone's life. Like, it's crazy. Do you have any recommendations for any good spots for first year to check out while attending Ryerson downtown?
Yeah, Ryerson has a ton of things in and around Ryerson. Fun fact about us, sometimes we take classes in a movie theater.
What?
So there's a movie theater at Yonge and Dundas called Cineplex, and sometimes we actually have classes in the movie theater.
Crazy.
Did you know this, Zarina?
Cool. I did not know that. They didn't tell us about. They didn't tell me about that when I was visiting Ryerson.
We're located right next to the Eden Center. There's always shopping opportunities. Maybe not during COVID, but I used to love just going and saying, okay, I'm going to get one new t-shirt and just finding a new t-shirt. I felt like that was kind of a fun activity. We have a bunch of like coffee shops that are really, really close by that are nice. Ryerson has a ton of like study spots too.
Oh, really? In the heart of downtown?
Yeah, it's surprisingly, we have a ton of spots. And something I liked about Ryerson is there's also different study spots. So it's not all just quiet studying. We have places where you're like meant to like speak, and like there's tables and there's markers that you can use on the walls. I think by providing the different options for how people study and work, it makes for a really good experience for everybody.
What was your favorite spot on campus?
I loved the whole like working with people. I'm not saying I'm not an independent worker, but I definitely love bouncing ideas off of other people and bouncing off like ways of learning off of other people. So when I used to study, I would always study with friends, get a nice room where we could like write things on the wall and sort of break down what we were doing in the best way possible for all of us.
Interactive.
Yeah, exactly. At times, like in engineering, you do have to do independent work. I would say that there are some limitations to that like method, but at least for me, I found that I learn a lot more when I'm with other people.
Right now, you're a residence advisor, which is super awesome. But like, I'm just gonna backtrack a bit. How was your experience living in residence in first year?
One of the best experiences of my life. First year residence is really, really incredible. Biggest thing I can say is just meet as many people as you can. Meet people even outside of your floor. A lot of times floors can get cliquey, but I would literally say try to meet as many people as possible. Residence a lot of time is I would say like seen as a very like social place, which I'm not gonna lie, it is, but residence also has a lot of like resources such as like academic people. Something that Ryerson offers is we have these people who work for residents called academic links. And so they are in programs and their job is to help you with your specific program. So I used to hang out with the engineering academic link all the time in residence as well. So having that social side of first year, but also having the resources that I needed in order to transition from the academic perspective. Yeah, like my residence experience was really, really great. Living away from home is really, really nice. I know it's kind of out of the comfort bubble for a lot of people. You kind of say like, oh, like I'm going to have to cook. I'm going to have to be on a meal plan. It makes you independent. And I think having independent skills makes you a better person too.
What building did you live in?
So in first year residence, I lived in Pittman Hall. So Pittman Hall is kind of seen as like the very social residence. Lots of parties, lots of things happening. It was a good time. In general, I had a really, really good time. But like I really want to mention, like, it's not all about the social side. A lot of people only see residence from the social side. I really do want to reiterate that there is like other resources to it as well.
Did you live with a roommate, and did you guys like have any difficulties? How was that like overall?
So in first year, I had what was called an apartment. So in our apartment, we had 4 people, including me. And then we each had our individual rooms, but then we had like a big common space, if that makes sense. I loved living with roommates. Might just be my personality, but I loved really getting to know these people, having a great time with them, just like being like fun. Like it was just such a good experience meeting these people. I definitely have friends who had roommates that they weren't on the same page. They didn't have such a good experience. For those students, I would honestly say reach out to your residence advisor. Don't think that it's the end of the world. Reach out to Nick. Yeah, exactly. So I work as a residence advisor. So I'm not trying to be biased, but really do try to reach out to your residence advisor if you're having issues with your roommates. You definitely don't want to like continue having these issues in the future for the rest of your first year. What happens a lot of times is students will have arguments at the start of the year, and then I'll intervene. I'll try to figure out what the base of the problem is. And for the rest of the year, they're best friends, right? 2 people who are arguing at the start of the year, they become best buds.
You're a magician.
Right?
Dude, Nick should be a mediator for like a divorce or something. Like
A lawyer. You should be a lawyer.
No.
Yeah.
The lawyer is the guy who wants it because of the money, right? The mediator is the person who's supposed to like solve the issue.
Oh, couple counselor.
Couple counselor, that's what it is.
Something like that. Yeah.
I have so many careers lined up.
The possibilities are endless.
What made you decide to become a residence advisor later on?
So in first year, I had a really great residence advisor. Shout out to Ben Shelley. I don't know if he's gonna see this, but he's an incredible guy. So he really helped me transition. He made me kind of get out of my bubble even more than I was. And so from seeing my residence advisor's experience and the way that he handled my floor, I knew that I wanted to do the same for other students. I knew that I wanted to provide that good transition for other students as well. And I've loved it. I'm going into my third year of becoming a residence advisor, and every single year I learn something new.
What's it like being on the other side now that you're managing the students living on res?
I find it super fun, honestly. I think a lot of people see residence advisors as like police, and we're like we want to shut down all the fun. I think we're really just trying to make sure everybody's safe and that everybody's having fun in the best way possible. I would hope that my students like to come to me and like talk about their great experiences as well. I love just listening about my students and talking with them about anything they want. It gives me a really good sense of satisfaction seeing them, but also for me, I get a big satisfaction from building the community.
What activities do you guys actually plan for the community? For like students, like, get to know each other or like, have fun?
Yeah, so every single week as a residence advisor, we have floor meetings. So floor meetings are basically just weekly meetings where the residence advisor goes over things happening at the university, things happening at the residence, and it's also just a good time for the students on the floor to kind of chat with each other. But as well as this, residence creates all kinds of events throughout the year. So we have socials, we have mental health events, we have like really events for all kinds of purposes and people. And all our events are really fun. Like residence events are truly super fun. And so yeah, from my end, it's really great to like be part of the event planning. It's great to bring my students together. Yeah, it really just fires me up to kind of bring everybody together. And yeah, like I've mentioned, like at the end of the day, when I can see students who were uncomfortable in September, but then by April, they're like having the best time of their lives. Like, I love that. It's really like so good to see.
Tell us about your favorite moments as a residence advisor.
I can tell about, so the reason why I'm umming, I have literally so many experiences that are like great as a residence advisor. I'm going to go with one of the things I was proud with this previous year. So Ryerson is we have really good sports teams. In specifics, we have super good basketball and hockey. So the hockey and basketball teams have games all the time. And they provided kind of challenges to residents. And the challenges were, which community can bring the most percentage of people? So during my floor meetings, I go, listen, we're the best floor ever, and we need to win these challenges. And I was dead serious. I'm like, we need to bring as many people as possible. And so what ended up happening is we start winning these challenges, and we got prizes because of it. We got tickets to like basketball games. We got to see other games, but they would feed us like a little buffet. Really niche prices. But overall, we got to like say like, yeah, we're like an incredible community. We brought the most percentage of people. So as I think this is one of my favorite things because not only was it super, super fun to like just go to these games with all my students, but also in me really, really pushing this, it kind of forced my students to bond. And really that's where they made the friendships, is through me kind of pushing them to come together.
Absolutely. That is actually really good thinking, and wow, what a good way to bring the community together.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I want to hear more about your advice. Like, do you have anything that you would tell first years joining university in the fall?
Man, there's so many things. First thing is realize that you're going to university for a degree. As much as you want to have fun and you want to meet people and you want to do all these things, you are going to university for a degree. So you do want to realize that at a certain point, you're going to have to prioritize working. You're going to have to realize that you can't only have fun. There's a balance between fun and working. But my second tip of advice is have fun. You don't want to take yourself super, super seriously. You want to give yourselves breaks from classes. You want to make sure that this experience is more than just the degree. Although you're prioritizing the degree, you do need other parts compared to the degree. So that's where like all these extracurricular and work experience comes in. Get involved. It's so fun. You're learning new skills. You're making your current skills better. You're meeting people. You're meeting professors. You're learning more about yourself. Yeah, like getting involved really has like endless benefits. So really, yeah, I really, really do encourage students to get involved for so many reasons.
Literally what Nick said. Guys, get involved. There are so many benefits. Take it from, Nick's experience, even like past experiences of everyone who's been on the show. Take it from Rafid and I talking about some of the things that we volunteered for. Definitely.
So now I want to talk a little bit about high school. And I definitely seen a lot of the stuff that you've done. But if you could go back, would there be any changes you would want to do for your experience in high school?
It's tricky because when you're in high school, I want to say this in the best way possible, you don't really know what you're doing. When you come to university, you start kind of like thinking more about like, okay, like after university, what am I going to do? Like, what do I have to do? But when you're back in high school, I think it's very hard to try to only focus on a couple things and say, okay, I absolutely have to do this. Get as many experiences as possible. Just like I would encourage getting involved in university, I would really encourage getting involved in high school.
Yep.
Interesting take.
Because yes, I've been involved in university, but a lot of those communication, teamwork, planning, those skills also came from my extracurriculars in high school. And it kind of was an easier transition into university because I already had a lot of those skills. Yeah, I would say get involved in your high school clubs and whatnot. Obviously, you need to try hard and you need to focus on the grades, but take a break from those things. Join a sports team, join a club, join whatever you think is interesting and have fun with it, right? Kind of like I've been saying so many times, you'll meet people, you'll learn skills, and you'll just have fun. Like, it'll be a great experience regardless.
Definitely. I 100% agree with that. What are some of the things you did in high school that you think have better prepared for your university experience and also even at Walmart?
Yeah, so this all does connect to Walmart, surprisingly. All the things that I've done have kind of made me who I am and made me to the person to get this internship at Walmart. Yeah, like I was heavily involved in high school as well as university. Whether it was like really like my involvement spread across a lot of different venues, if that makes sense. I wasn't only like earlier I said that I was interested in math. I wouldn't only get involved in something in math, right? I also personally like loved band. Band has nothing to do with math, but it was such a great experience because I got to be part of a community. I got to learn how to be a team person. It gave me a very unique perspective. Those things all helped me to get to where I am now. And it does seem crazy because sometimes you forget about these smaller experiences, but it's kind of like building like a Lego set. The professional life is like the box art that you see on the front of a Lego set, right?
Oh my gosh.
And you're like, okay, like that's super, super pretty. I'm gonna build that thing all at once. Well, you don't build a Lego set all at once. First, you take out the instructions. Then you kind of say, okay, what am I doing? That's like elementary school. You're just kind of doing whatever. Once you get to high school, you kind of start building Lego pieces, right? So let's say I'm making a little village out of Lego, and there's 3 houses. Maybe in grade 9, I'll start putting all the pieces together, and by the end of grade 9, I have 1 house. Do I have the entire village? No, but I've kind of been learning, playing around with, and building this house. And so I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not even done my Lego set. I'm continuously building my Lego set. I think my Lego set's only going to be finished when I retire. But by slowly building the pieces, moving the pieces around, trying to fit them in different ways, I learned the best way for the Lego set to be built. And at the end of the day, you know, let's say I work for 40, 50, 60 years, I'll have that Lego set that I saw on the box cover that looked so pretty when I was a kid. All these experiences are just another piece to that Lego set.
I have no words. I am so
Yeah, same.
so impressed right now because it is so true. What a super great metaphor. Did you just come up with that, or is that something that you've always thought about?
I just came up with this.
What?
What the heck? Damn.
That is crazy.
I'm still in speed fire round.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
He definitely is.
What were some of your
man.
favorite moments of high school?
I have a ton, and I really, I have so many. And I could talk about them forever, but I think one consistent thing that always I loved was band trips. So I was a percussionist for my school band, and I did band every single year. And band was really, really a good experience.
You made so many friends too from it.
You meet so many friends from band. Learning an instrument is actually a pretty interesting skill. It takes a good amount of memorization and problem solving in order to learn how to do it in the proper way. But I found I gained a lot of my social skills from these band trips. Band trips were really fun because you got to do everything as a school, but then there was all these like excursions and museums and all these things to kind of see in a different city. So it was really fun, like just like being with my friends, and doing this like class, but then having fun with it.
Where did you guys go for band? Like on your trips?
We went to a bunch of different places in high school.
Yo, I'm so jealous. You guys went to Banff. Frick you.
Yeah, we went to Banff one
Really?
year. That was a super, super great trip.
Oh, wow.
I went to Halifax. One year we went to New York. We went to
Virginia? Was it Virginia or
Virginia
where?
Beach, I think?
Yeah.
Or Vermont. Yeah. Anyways,
You guys went to some cool places.
it was so fun, right? And yeah, I just really got so many friends from it too.
I do remember, Nick. I think my favorite moment was, and this is from my perspective, but it was actually after high school. It was the summer before university started for all of us. That summer, Canada 2020. Oh wait, was it Canada 50? It was like the 150th anniversary, right? That was easily my favorite summer. Like our whole friend group just like absolutely bonded like so well together, and everyone was like on good terms, and people were just so happy, and you know, we would always frequently like meet up with each other all the time because like it was going to be our last summer together, and honestly it was worth it. Don't you agree, Nick?
Yeah, that's such a good point. Summer before university, hang out with your friends as much as possible. You finished high school. You don't have to worry about classes. Have fun. Like, really hang out with your friends. The sad truth is that, like, after the 3-4 months of the summer, a lot of these people you won't see for a while. I know that's kind of scary, but when you hang out with these people as much as possible, it really it's like the biggest reward to high school.
It is.
Right? High school, it's a tough time. People work really, really hard, but reward yourself. At the end, you finish high school, spend that summer, have fun, hang out with your friends. No, definitely a really good summer feed.
Yeah. Hands down, my favorite summer of all time.
It's a free pass where you don't have any worries.
Because nothing was so more... Like, it wasn't timed any better. Like, 150th Canada Day, we graduated, prom happened. Like, man, it was like one after the other in terms of events. Really great time. We'll always remember.
Speaking of being social, it's a stereotype that students in engineering are not social and more of introverts. Did you find that you fit in well with the engineering culture at Ryerson?
Yes. So as an overall culture, I really think that Ryerson Engineering is full of people who like care about each other. We're really not like, how do I put this the best way possible? We're not people who only care about ourselves. There's a lot of horror stories I've heard where someone has an exam and like they literally like they can't find anybody to study with. I don't think that's the case at Ryerson. I think people are super team players. I think we have a really good energy. But I will say that, yes, I totally agree with you as a general. A lot of my classmates, probably the majority, are more introverted, which is like totally a good thing. Like it's not a bad thing whatsoever. So in that sense, I don't really think I like 100% fit in. I do think I'm a little, in the best way possible, like I'm a little weird compared to everybody else. But I do feel part of the community as well. I think it's just when I dial down into specific engineering, yeah, the majority of my classes, people are a little more to themselves. But that's not to say that there aren't other people like me. I'm definitely not the only person like me in my class. And I'm still really easily able to find tons of friends and especially like people to study with.
Like, Nick, for, a little bit more of a serious note, but for someone who's like, introverted and shy, like, I remember I was a little bit introverted and shy back in high school, but like someone like you, I'm pretty sure even I looked up to your social skills and I tried to emulate them. What is some advice you would give to someone who's trying to, have those social skills and, bond with people? Because I know it's like the hardest thing that someone can overcome, especially if they're like, they're not used to it, right?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I'd want to say is that like you don't have to like change yourself. A lot of people think like, yeah, I have to be like the most extroverted person possible in order to like do like whatever. You can definitely succeed as an introvert. A lot of my friends I would consider to be very introverted, but I still feel like I'm able to connect with them. I think something that anybody can do, whether you're introverted or extroverted, is push your comfort level a little.
Okay.
When you think you're comfortable and there's a situation that's just a little bit uncomfortable, just try it. What's the worst that really happens? Maybe you'll get rejected. That's really the worst thing that could happen. Let's say you want to say hi to someone and they don't say hi back. Really, the worst thing that happened is you got rejected. Let's say you want to go on a project with someone and they've already got their partners. The worst thing they could say is, sorry, I already have my partners. But at least you know that you tried and you pushed your comfort level just to ask in the first place. And eventually, you won't get rejected, right? When you get rejected a couple of times, you'll kind of find ways to not get rejected. But yeah, just going back to the question, if you're introverted, you definitely don't have to like completely change and become extroverted. You can thrive as an introvert. You just need to find ways to come out your comfort level just a little in order to let other people in.
Yeah, and just to add on to that about what you mentioned about the worst thing that can happen is you get rejected. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world to get rejected. It's not a life or death situation. You're not going to die if you get rejected. It's just, you know, being able to accept the rejection and move on from it. That's also important. What skills would you recommend high schoolers start adopting now in order to excel in industrial engineering or in engineering in general?
I would say communication skills. I would say learn how to talk to people. Feel comfortable with learning how to talk to people. Feel comfortable with getting out that comfort zone, just like I mentioned. It really won't be as bad as you think. It really, really won't be as bad as you think. I think that you'll be surprised with how pushing your comfort level just a little can get you so many things in life. And yeah, I wouldn't take yourself too seriously either. When you don't take yourself too seriously, I think people gravitate towards that just because they're able to connect with you. There's really nothing to it. I'm not going to tell people that they have to dial down on their math skills and their science skills. I really think that just be you and just find a way to constantly make a better version of yourself.
Absolutely. And again, I really like that sentence. Magic happens outside of your comfort zone. Because it's just true, right? That's how you learn and that's how you grow.
Last question, Nick. What's the one thing you want to accomplish in the future?
It's a big one. It's a big one, Rafid.
Best for last.
Yeah. Are you talking about hopeful career things or just in general?
In
what
general.
I want to accomplish in life?
In general, it could be career, it could be life, it could be even your retirement. I don't care. Just what's something
for you?
What's something that you would feel like, okay, let's say for example 40 years down the line, right? You would look back and you would say, yes, this is the one thing I feel that I've fulfilled in my life, right?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I get the most satisfaction from other people. I feed off of other people's energy. So when I think about my life or my career development in general, I always prioritize myself on having the ability to affect other people and bring other people together. I know that's such a vague thing, but it really empowers me when I impact someone else, when I'm able to make a difference in someone else's life. Like I said, it could be career, it could be just general life. I really like when I can empower someone. Earlier, Rafid, you said that you really looked up to me, my social skills. I didn't even really consider that, but the fact that you're saying that literally makes me so happy. And I didn't ask for you to compliment me, but just by getting it, I feel so great that I could do that for you. I didn't even really try to do it directly for you, but the fact that I could implicitly have that impact on you makes me smile. I'm really, really smiling because of that. So if I can continue to make other people the best versions of themselves, I feel like that's all I could really ask for.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's vague for you, Nick, because especially about the different extracurriculars that you talked about, the reasons why you choose to do something, it's always about, being able to help someone else. And it's really shown through. So that's pretty awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick, for being on the podcast today. It was very interesting to hear you talk about your extracurriculars that you're involved with and what you got out of them. I'm glad you talked about what industrial engineering is. I don't think that's one that is often talked about. I hope some students can add it to their list of programs to choose from and also take some tips that you mentioned on how to research about them. If you'd like to hear more about Nick Neuman, you can check out his LinkedIn as well as his IG, Nick_Neumes, all in the description below.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you so much for having me. This is really, really so much fun. I really had such a great time. And yeah, to everybody listening, I hope that what I'm saying helps you. Please do reach out to me. I'd love to answer any sort of questions you have. But yeah, good luck in the rest of high school. And hopefully this podcast and the other podcasts can help you.
Be sure to check us out on all our social media platforms at Capital Interns, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook to check out the awesome things that we post. If you're not already, please follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple and Google Podcasts to be notified of all the latest episodes. The next guest is a woman in computer science who is passionate for theoretical computer science and has interned at prestigious companies such as Deloitte's Omnia AI Consulting Group. Stay tuned as we delve into our guest's passions, university experience, and personal life. See you guys all later. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Come on, man. Nobody's forcing you to leave, you know. Wiping your slate clean ain't so easy. You see what I mean?